So thank you so much for coming back for the third day of the conference. We're starting the proceedings today with the blessings of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. And the first speaker that we have today is His Holiness Hanumat Presaka Maharaj.
So then what we're presenting here will be a philosophy of education, and we'll look at very broad principles and then try and take it down to a specific application of what we're doing as an example for other people. What is education? The Britannica's idea, Encyclopedia Britannica. Harvey Siegel, professor, Department of Philosophy, University of Miami. The Western philosophical tradition began in ancient Greece, and philosophy of education began with it. The introduction by Socrates of the Socratic method of questioning, see dialectic, began a tradition in which reasoning and the search for reasons was and remains fundamental. Such questioning in turn eventually gave rise to the view that education should encourage in all students and persons to the greatest extent possible the pursuit of the life of reason. This view of the central place of reason in education has been shared by most of the major figures in the history of philosophy of education, despite the otherwise substantial differences in their other philosophical views. So then, in our look at trying to understand philosophy from a broad point of view, a strategy of education perspective, we're seeing that it's very convenient in our terminology to look at it in terms of karma, jnana, dhyana, and bhakti. And of course, this is our development, karma yoga, so on. So, from the point of view of a karmi, education as information, all of my students know the capital of every state of the United States. All of my students know how many sensory receptors there are in the nose of a cow. All of my students know. So this is being rejected by Western education, that an educated person is not just somebody who has information, who has facts. No. The next level is jnana, education as reason, how to connect these up, how to take the facts and arrange them to make a logic, to make a structure, to make relationships. And of course, we train our students in grammar, right? The rhetoric, literature side. And we also train them in mathematics. We train them how to count, which is not a small thing, learning how to count. Then after that, they learn arithmetic. Then, usually geometry, right? And then trigonometry, analytical geometry, calculus. Algebra, Bertrand Russell says, algebra was the greatest advance of the 17th century because people became adapted to the idea of suspended judgment. Arithmetic, 2 times 5 is 10. Algebra, 2x minus 1 is 9. You have to suspend your judgment. We were discussing this, Sesha was discussing this yesterday. These things are actually learning this life of reason. So the Britannica said this is Western education, acquiring information, but also developing these things. From our perspective, the next thing is dhyana, education as intuitive abilities, imagination, contemplation, meditation, smarnam. Is this taught any place in our Western universities? Do they teach this introspective life and meditation, dhyan? Yeah, some very, very good schools, they'll be teaching in literature how to stimulate your creativity, these kind of things and so on. Then of course what we're taking it to, the final conclusion of our education is learning to love wisdom, bhakti Vedanta, philosophos. It's the same thing. Teacher, doctor, of love, of wisdom, bhakti Vedanta. So same basic reasoning, but Western education is kind of trying to supply these. And some good places are coming and trying to stimulate, teach the students how to contemplate, how to meditate, look at something in a broad sense. And especially the tradition we're seeing in the West, where it's very systematized and we can take advantage of it, is theater, improvisational theater. Okay, this is by Viola Spolin. The book is Improvisation for the Theater, Northwestern University Press. It's in second edition. And if I was going to recommend a library of 25 books, the best books I've ever read, this is one of them. I would recommend it wholeheartedly to every person in this room. The first part, she starts off with general principles of what is drama, what is imagination, what is creativity, how to learn through games. The entire rest of the book is a progressive series of games like that, so on. So we haven't got time to go into it, but it's a whole tradition. Our tradition is a theater tradition. What Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is doing is presenting a yoga based upon Bharata Muni's Nata Shastras, right? Vibhava, Anubhava, Sattvika Bhava, these are all theater terms. Jayaweta Maharaj accepted that what we're doing is Gandharva Veda, singing, dancing, and drama. But it has to come to that when you're singing the bhajans. Kiba Jayo has to come to that level. Okay, so we haven't got time to go into it, but this is the basic principle. I'm already running out of time here. We learn through experience and experiencing, and no one teaches anyone anything. If the environment permits it, anyone can learn whatever he chooses to learn. And if the individual permits it, the environment will teach. Notice the environment here is the Paramatma, the universal form. That's what she's worshiping. Yeah, the environment will teach him everything he has to it has to teach. This means involvement on all levels, intellectual, physical, and intuitive. Of the three, the intuitive, the most vital to all the learning situations, is neglected. The intuitive is neglected. Okay? So bhakti then, we can take advantage of these theater traditions. So many techniques they use, we can use. We can learn how to improve them like that. Okay? So what about bhakti? Okay, here we go. Here's some bhakti. Jesus Christ, Prabhupada, Krishna book. First, this is the first book I got. Changed my life. Okay. There's somebody you may know, right? Waiting for you. Okay. So, when Srila Prabhupada came to San Francisco, Berkeley, in 1976, I was able to be there and hear him, hear his voice, everything else. It was a very nice visit. We heard from Srila Prabhupada's lips when he visited our ISKCON temple in San Francisco, Berkeley in 1976, that anyone who chants Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, feeling Shri Advaita Agadadhar Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Okay. And follows it with Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Up. It's a theater. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I heard this from Prabhupada's lips. This is a big problem for the Ritviks because you got to hear from the Guru's lips. Now you can all hear it from my lips, and people can hear it from your lips. This is it. Prabhupada said this, has achieved the perfection of life, but if you want to preach, you should probably read my books. Didn't say you had to. Probably read my books. Okay, but then this is Radha Gokulananda, same mold as Radha Madhava. Yeah. So the problem then becomes, that read the books, right? No problem. Okay. If we try to read Srila Prabhupada's books, we may be daunted. Over 100 volumes. Even as Divine Grace commented that even in 100 years, one could not read these books thoroughly. When I heard that, it was such a relief for me because I was trying to read them all thoroughly. You can't do it. Nobody can take everything the spiritual master is offering. But you take what you need, you build your logic, and you go out and preach. So which book is the best book to start with? Upadeshamrita. Thank you. I have a copy right over there. They're for sale, on sale in the gift store. Okay. Preface. The Krishna consciousness movement is conducted under the supervision of Srila Rupa Goswami. Srila Rupa Goswami has given many other books, such as Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Vidagdha Madhava, and Lalita Madhava, but Upadeshamrita constitutes first instructions for neophyte devotees. One should follow these instructions very strictly, then it will be easier to make one's life successful. So this is why we're using it. Prabhupada indicates that it's fundamental, it's basic. Everything follows from it very naturally and never goes away. It just becomes deeper and richer. So what does it say then? What does it say about education? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, Prabhupada says in the preface, in order to bestow upon human society the benediction of the science of Krishna. To understand the mission of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and follow in his footsteps, one must very seriously follow in the footsteps of the 6 Goswamis. So here's our mission statement. Our mission is to qualify ourselves to help Lord Chaitanya in his mission by studying Srila Prabhupada's books. Okay? So Vedanta Sutra. This is our mission. Qualify ourselves to help Lord Chaitanya in his mission of giving the science of Krishna to people. It's a Sankirtan movement, right? Okay. Stages of educational development. We have preschool, kindergarten, primary, middle school, secondary, university, associate professor, what do you got? Assistant professor, associate professor, professor, emeritus professor, dead man. Okay, it's like, okay, different stages. The final examination. But what we're presenting here, the goal of education is prema. Of course, in 762, the instructions of Prahlad Maharaj, which Prabhupada quotes right in the introduction to the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada gets very clear. This is the perfection of education, and the goal of education is to revive our relationship with Krishna. So this is difficult. First grade, second grade, third grade, Adoshada, Nishta, Ruchi, Asaktis. How to understand our position and understand other position in terms of Kanista, Majjhima, and different kinds of education is there. Not facts, not logic, not even intuition and meditation, dhyan, but how the heart is changing, how we're becoming actually realizing these different stages. And we got to do this, otherwise we're all going to come back and we're all going to be in an ISKCON Gurukula in our next life. Yeah. And I don't look forward to that right now. Okay. This is all based upon Upadeshamrita. Okay. Okay. And the heart of this whole thing, Sankirtan, is the same thing. Learning to teach. Right from the very beginning, our consciousness, the little kids are learning, we're going to show this to our friends at the Montessori school. Montessori, that's okay, whatever. We're going to go and show this to other people. We're going to, if that spirit has to be there, if that spirit is there, we're learning something to share with others, then the whole thing is proper. So the process is congregational glorification of God. That's how we learn. Join the party, the Sankirtan party, in so many ways. Find your position in it, and then inspire others. Okay? Okay. And some background of Varna Ashram training. So much of the Bhagavatam is Daivi Varna Ashram. Pregnancy of Diti in the evening, marriage of Sukanya and Chaiva Muni. Yeah, so much is Daivi Varna Ashram. But if you're engaged in the Sankirtan movement according to your position and you're making progress, it's very natural. We'll pick it up. There's enough education there. But it's necessary. Some training, the proper position like that. Okay. So coming down very specifically now, we'll finish off here. Prabhupada did this whole view of Western philosophy called dialectic spiritualism. And Shyamasundar and Hayagriva were presenting different philosophers. Socrates, Platon, Aristoteles, Santo Tomás de Aquino, Descartes, Leibniz, yeah. And finally, the very last one was Carl Jung. How many people know who is Carl Jung? Okay, wow, this is amazing. Okay, yeah, yeah. And so, how Hayagriva finished off, that finishes our session on Jung, Srila Prabhupada. Of all of them, he seems to have the most sense. Yeah. So it's a very active living tradition, and we're doing a lot of different programs. I can't mention what they are. We're doing Socrates, we're doing Hamlet and Arjuna, with Nobel laureate coming, everybody. Hamlet and Arjuna. What else? Sankhya. And very good, successful programs at this university level. We're working with the National Library of Peru, National Museum of India. It's available. You can do these kind of programs and preach to these kind of people, and they listen, and they understand, but you have to put it in their language. Okay, so everybody in the West knows Carl Jung. He's the highest philosopher you're going to encounter. So here's one of Jung's comments. We Europeans are not the only people on the earth. We are just a peninsula of Asia, and on that continent there are old civilizations where people have trained their minds in introspective psychology for thousands of years. Whereas we began with our psychology not even yesterday, but only this morning. These people have an insight that is simply fabulous. C.G. Jung, Analytical Psychology, Its Theory and Practice, 1970. So I haven't, I guess, what do we got here? Am I 5 minutes yet? I'm 5 minutes, right? Okay. Carl, get me started on Carl Jung. We'll go for 2 weeks here. Yeah. This is where I'm expert, right? Know a little bit about everything, and one thing about, I can talk, I've done it, on the highest global level of psychology and Jungian psychology now, because I've done my work. My tendency, I like this. I like reading about Jung and the mind. I can start telling you stories in psychology and have everybody in the room crying at the end of the story about what people go through in life and so on. Yeah, and reality. So, okay, back it up here. So, if you want to get into this, talk to me later. But just in general, it's very good reading is Jung's autobiography. Memories, Dreams, and Reflections. Carl Jung's autobiography. And all the devotees I know who have gone through it, it's very stimulating. He was on the level, he was above Virat Rup, he was on the level of Hiranyagarbha. He was 30 years old when Prabhupada was born. Most of the hippie revolution was created by his ideas. So he created the ambience in which Srila Prabhupada was able to appreciate these things. He would look at somebody and he would meet you, and like it or not, he would be aware of your position in the Virat Rup, that your personal individual archetypes, the collective unconscious that was influencing you, and he would say something like, "What about your mother?" And you would fall on the floor. Yeah, that was these are not ordinary people. These people exist like that. They're on the level of dhyan, and also some of them are very big demons. So be very careful. Yeah. Okay, so then in the modern world, there's the Philemon Foundation in London, Shonu Shamdashini, incredible historian. He's a professor at the, what do you call it? Department of the History of Medicine at the University of London. He was looking for a guru. He found Jung, dedicated his life to him. And he translated the Red Book. How many people know what the Red Book is? Okay, now we're dropping down here. Yeah. Jung kept his own diary, beautiful art. His descriptions, everything else about his experiences going into the subconscious, these things. We want to see this. No way, you know. Everybody will think he was psychotic. But he wasn't psychotic. This is the way we all think. We have a very thin veneer of civilized, industrialized life. If you're touching somebody else right now, raise your hand. If you're touching somebody else. It's got to be two people. Nobody is touching anybody else because you don't touch people. Yeah. This is time, space, perception. It's below the level of our consciousness. Traditional Arabic culture, you have to be on top of everybody else, smelling their breath on your face. Try that around here and see what's happening. Yeah. So the Philemon Foundation will be going, after we finish off in India, we'll go back through, and in April we'll go to a symposium in Santa Barbara on Jungian psychology, and hopefully for the first time I'll actually meet Shonu Shamdashini. We've been encountering with the programs in South America, the National Museum, these programs, Beverly Zabrieski, Patricia Losha. These are founders of the Philemon Foundation. They like our ideas, they're recommending us. So if we can actually have a nice dialogue, we can start building incredible bridges in both directions like that. I can't read that, what does it say? Okay, questions and answers, okay. So, we have 3 philosophies of education which have been submitted to VIPLAVAH, our magazine. Bala Govinda Das in Pune has agreed to be the editor for the book. We're talking about this. Urmila Devi Dasi submitted the philosophy of education. Ras Mandala submitted the last philosophy of education. I did. I couldn't get anybody else to submit articles for VIPLAVAH on philosophy of education. Ras Mandala said, this may be indicative of where our society is at. Everybody has a philosophy, but who's articulated it? Yeah? Who is articulated and has credit? Where they want to share it. So this is where we're at in terms of taking different philosophies of education, and now basically you've seen all 3 like that. What happened here? Okay, there you go. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
This is our web page, www.jayarama.us, and you can contact us to air. Okay.
We ready to take questions and comments?
Everybody from, you can tell people from Spain, they all look like priests. Dara Krishna told me that.
Maharaj, thank you very much for your enlightening presentation. I wanted to ask, you mentioned the 9 stages from Shraddha to Prema as part of the process of education. Generally speaking, educators generally agree that to assess values is the most difficult things to do. How do you assess all these stages of education in the students?
Haven't you read Nectar of Devotion? Who is your guru? Yeah. Yes, it's all there, isn't it? Yeah. Adoshada, somebody, a little preliminary faith, they try it out. If it's not so good, I won't go. Sadhu Sangha, I want to hang out with these people. They're nice, and their guru, Charya, is a nice guy. So we can assess that. Adoshada, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya. Okay, now formally I want to matriculate. It's initiated devotee. Somebody is initiated devotee. And then Adoshada, Sadhu Sangha, Anartha Nivritti. It's very accessible. Have you given up 4 principles? Ladies' fashion magazines, men's sports magazines, right? What's next? Anartha Nivritti, Nishta, every day chanting your rounds, coming to the program, doing your service. Ruchi, boop. At this level of eye understanding, Nishta is the last thing you can assess by external characteristics. Somebody in the level of Ruchi, the difference is not what they do, but it's how they do it. And that takes somebody who's in that level, can look at them and, they're offering the Raj Bhoga in the mood of Mother Yashoda. They're offering the Raj Bhoga in the mood of the cowherd boys. Ruchi, Asaktis. So these higher levels is describing, they're perceivable by somebody who's on that level. There's a Zen phrase, when 2 thieves meet upon the road, they need no introduction. They know each other by sight. So if you're in the level of Ruchi, it's like, yeah. Yes. So, okay? Okay, yeah. Okay.
Thank
So,
you.
thank you very much. Wow.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.